Bruce, I'm engaged to Harvey Dent. Yes, you do, Bruce. You know who that is. Harvey! Bruce, can you please Venmo me for Sweet Green? Yes, I got the Evite to your party. I'm not coming because I'm marrying Harvey. Harvey! Bruce, are you registered to vote? Bruce, small elections are important. Bruce, don't. Please, don't start a podcast. Bruce, seriously, do you have an iPhone charger? Do you? It's not for me, it's for Harvey.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. This week we're talking about 1992's Candyman. Can't find a Candyman. We are the Mattitude Eric. I'm Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hi, I'm laughing because there are multiple songs called Candyman.
Nope, I was going to shoehorn it into another song,
right? It's
Weird Al style.
There's the Willy Wonka one, there's the Christina Aguilera one, but you went a whole different direction.
This is Sammy Davis Jr. Yeah, like I could have gone with many different choices there, but I decided I wanted to go.
Oh, there's the
parody
Susie and
mode.
the Banshees one too, which is really good.
Candyman might be the most common song title in the world.
That's right.
So we're going to talk about that movie at the end, and then followed by in the subsequent weeks, 2 weeks, the second and third Candyman movies, which I have not seen. I have seen Candyman a few times over the years. I'm very familiar with it, and I'll talk about my very briefly about my history with that movie later on when we talk about it. And how's your week, Eric? What you been doing? You've been doing a lot of things. First of all, you went to a Screamathon that was like you were back, like you were 20 years old again, Eric, going to 4 movies in a row overnight, just stay camping out from dusk till dawn. Like
4 is nothing, Matt. I mean, it was only about 5 years ago.
I'm thinking about your back. I'm thinking about like your well-being.
I did 7 Nightmare on Elm Streets in a row and 8 Friday 13th in a row. So 4 screams.
Well, I mean, I did a Night Marathon with you, but that was 4. Wasn't that for the Dream Master?
It was for the opening of Dream Master.
Yeah.
But no, this was Scream 1 through 4. And it was delightful. And it was funny because a lot of people were talking about would they make it through all 4. And there was a lot of people I understood were saying they were definitely there for 1 and 2, and then they'd see, because 3 is most people's least favorite.
But 3 is the nap time. And
so, yeah. I'll tell you, when there's 7 or 8 of these suckers, the nap time's always around part 5, no matter what you think of that respective series. But so there was a lot of people like 3 going into 3 and even going into 4. We were losing some people, but there was a ton of energy for 4, which was great. Even though
4 is my second favorite.
Yeah, it had it, and the audience was way into it, even though this movie was ending at 2:30 in the morning.
When did it all start?
6.
Okay, that's
but all 4 of them are almost 2 hours, and they had trailers before all of them. It was very fun trailers. They were Wes Craven trailers, Kevin Williamson trailers, and they didn't show Elm Street. They wanted to like mix it up, and they Vampire in Brooklyn trailer and Killing Mrs. Tingle, or Teaching Mrs. Tingle.
Speaking of Vampire in Brooklyn, that movie almost landed Eddie Murphy the role of Can't Find a Candyman. But they couldn't afford his hefty price tag. Speaking of hefty price tags, let's start with some news this week in the realm of entertainment. The big news, breakout news, ScarJo filing a lawsuit against Disney, citing basically alleging a breach of contract for the specific release of her movie, and it's also day and date theatrical. Oh, it's day and date simultaneous theatrical and streaming release on Disney Plus, and saying that basically, the lawsuit suggests that specifically refuted terms in her agreement, promised an exclusive theatrical window. Eric, you talk about I actually have something I want to philosophical I want to talk about after this. So why don't you go into the nuts and bolts of this lawsuit about how basically they're alleging that Disney, in order to appease stockholders and beef up Disney Plus, sacrificed box office and her back end.
Right. I mean, look, this is the thing: is that if you're a big name talent, a lot of directors too, but big stars, your deal includes a part of the back end. And look, we saw this, like, so when Warner Brothers decided to move Wonder Woman 80 Max, they first went to Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot and said, hey, we're going to do this, and we realized this is completely changing the entire plan for this movie, and which also opened in theaters. But it meant that they knew they were putting out the movie when it was going to be difficult for it to make money anyway, and by putting on HBO Max, it would undercut the box office that was available. And so they made these big deals with them. Apparently they both got like,
and this was like pre-vaccine. This was back in December.
Yeah,
so like they were going to put it online. But to your point, like Warner Media was making all of these deals for their HBO Max release when they were like, we're going to release all of our movies on streaming also.
But they didn't. I mean, that was the thing is
like they had to scramble to sort of catch up.
Right. Because only with Wonder Woman did they go to them ahead of time. With everything else, when they announced their entire year, they didn't. And so we didn't hear the details. We just know they made all these deals to make all these people happy, because we heard Denzel Washington was pissed and all these people were pissed.
Yeah, like, I mean, The Little Things is a crap movie, but like, so they went to like him first, and then Godzilla versus Kong next, like all the things that were coming out first on HBO Max.
And there was a report this week that they still haven't figured out all the financials on Dune yet, because there's been so much back and forth on whether it might still stick out, which apparently back and forth. So anyway, it's just kind of crazy.
Well, they're going to pay the cast of Dune
all these shifts too.
They're going to pay the cast of Dune and Spice.
Okay,
that's what's been
excellent.
worked out. You are before we dig into all of this, Eric, you are on a serious delay and you are cutting out. So,
excellent.
So let me stop this right here, and then we're going to pick things up. Hold on. Okay, we're back. We're trying to figure out Wi-Fi issues. We're not completely sure that we've solved everything, so this might be a very fun podcast of us just sort of like checking in and checking out. It's in chapter form. It's in little snippets for you. We've made it more digestible to get through this legalese. But yeah, so we're talking about the deals that Warner Media has been making with the creatives behind these movies that they are releasing in theaters and on HBO Max all year.
But then Disney apparently has not done these extra deals. It's just very strange, because when they made this decision with Black Widow that they were going to actually announce how much it made opening weekend on Disney Plus, but act like it was part of the box office, right? They like cumulative. This is what we made.
Yeah, well, she ain't getting a piece of that, right?
Right.
Like, so she's not getting the premiere access or.
But more importantly, is, because I'm firmly like, I'm on her side here, which is to say, I understand the gut instinct is to say, oh, the rich person should get richer, but I am on her side here as far as like contractually, I think she's in the right. Now, what's going to be the huge argument here is what does it mean to say promise a theatrical release and exclusivity, because her contract said that it would be a wide theatrical release, which meant 1,500 screens or more. And Disney will say, we honored that. It was on 1,500 screens or more. But ScarJo's lawyers will say, yeah, but it was implicit that meant only in theaters, especially when we made this deal in 2017, which is when she signed.
So her attorney is alleging that Disney made a deliberate choice, quote, in order to prevent Ms. Johansson from realizing the full benefit of her bargain with Marvel, and that Disney chose to placate Wall Street investors and pad its bottom line. This has upset and embarrassed and angered Kevin Feige. It is sort of creating this rift between Marvel and Disney at the moment. Now, I wanted to talk about our gut reaction is to be like, oh, she's suing for $50 million. How much more does anybody need money? Like she's got so many millions of dollars. She's super rich. And when we're talking about people who never have to worry about bills or food or any of the things that so many of us worry about month to month, week to week, it's hard to form that empathy, right? Like the rich get richer, right? I understand that. But what I want to address here is to just sort of see it from a different side about how we are so judgy and hesitant to pay performers. And this goes for wrestlers. This goes for musicians. This goes for actors and actresses. Any creative type that wants more money, we're like, we have a weird default setting in ourselves where we're like, well, they're just lucky to be there. They're lucky to have that spot. So many people want it. Why are they asking for more? When none of us ever ask, why does Jeff Bezos get to have 200 billion? Right. Like we always attack the athlete who wants more money, but not the people who sign their check. Right. We attack the rich people, but not the wealthy people.
Right.
And so, we especially do that way more with, again, attack women more than men. In this case, like Scarlett Johansson. I know that Disney did a shitty thing by like releasing her financials to sort of get the public against her.
To say she got 20 million up front. What, isn't that enough?
Basically. Right. Like, we're all supposed to side with Disney. Like, yeah, that is enough. Like, what's up, Miss Johansson? 20 million's not enough. I'd like $20 million. I'll tell you that much.
Right.
But we are, when it comes to the actual talent, I don't know. We should resist this. They're getting like squinky about it and go after the corporation. Why aren't those executives lucky to be there?
Yeah,
those CEOs lucky to be there, and they should be thankful every day that they have their job. You know,
I get it. I mean, like on the surface, of course, the optics are like, you got 20 million. How could you possibly think you didn't get enough? But I don't think she's like, oh my God, I want all the money.
Oh my God, it's the funky shit.
And oh my God, it's like shit. It's more about, did they meet the terms of the agreement? And I think everyone's shocked. The thing that everyone is shocked about is that it got to this point that they didn't solve this, because the thing about Disney's response was it was very sort of venomous. It called out her 20 million, and it inferred that she was being like reckless and dangerous. Like, hey, guess what? There's a pandemic. Like, she doesn't know that, which is a very bullshit thing for them to do.
She wanted this movie delayed.
Right.
She's always wanted this movie delayed.
Because they're putting it in theaters, but also their theme parks are open. Like, Disney's not like, doing everything they can to keep people safe. They want to make money too. But a lot of people have also pointed out, it's very notable here on behind the scenes stuff, is that Bob Chapek is now running Disney, not Bob Iger, the two Bobs. Bob Iger, who ran Disney for 25 forever, and did it so successfully and did all these acquisitions and kind of this amazing century they've been having, and had really good relationships with talent. Bob Chapek does not have talent relations, and a lot of people were saying this shows here, because like Iger would never have let this get to trial. He would have made sure we deal with this behind the scenes like Warner Media did, so that everyone ends up happy, instead of A, letting it get to the point that they didn't figure it out, and B, then coming out with this very sort of like attacking her back thing.
And that's really the point where it felt like women targeted. Nobody's coming after Jerry B for wanting his Olympus Has Fallen money.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a whole other thing there about the fact that Downey has made like 50 to 70 million on some of these suckers and all that. But I just think the main thing, but also it shows you that because there were some people that were quick to do memes about like Feige being pissed at her until it came out that, oh no,
he's not. Side. He's on her. He's team his talent.
He's mad that Disney let it get to this point and didn't solve this with someone he's worked with for a decade.
I mean, he's the Iger from Marvel. Like, he's not going to go against his own team. Like,
yeah, and who's had a good relationship with her. I mean, it does also show, by the way, that it's notable her lawsuit is against Disney, and basically kind of paints Marvel has kind of caught in the crossfire, because Marvel was we had heard Feige didn't want to put Black Widow on Disney Plus, preferred to wait as well for theaters only, but that, Disney sort of forced his hand and forced Marvel, because he doesn't have as much power as he has. He doesn't have all the power. So the main thing here is this is going to be a very notable case, because it's going to influence things going forward in Hollywood, both with other deals, but also there's talk about other talent that was unhappy with this and put on a game face. Emma Stone, Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
And it's, it's funny because some people were like, if she was so pissed, why did Scarlett Johansson, why did she do promotion for Black Widow? It's like, well, because she was meeting the terms of her contract. Like, that's kind of
right.
The whole
and that's
point.
What she just wanted them to do.
Right.
Yeah. Again, everyone check yourself. Everyone be like, why are we so programmed to come to the defense of our giant fucking mega corporations? You know, like instead of the actual talent. I don't care if she's demanding $100 million. You know, it's all, you know, XYZ to someone like me anyway. The money's astronomical. It doesn't matter. It's just like who deserves what's in the contract. Is someone trying to get screwed? I'm not going into my whole like Jeff Bezos rant here because I don't think Eric wants to hear it. I don't think our listeners want to hear it. I don't think your cats want to hear it, Eric. But just about like how immoral it is to have as much money as he has. But yeah, why do we villainize the actress for going after what's owed her?
I also think the main thing here is that this is also going to affect things going forward. Now, first of all, of course, contractually now everyone is going to put in the what they will be very specific about theaters only, and if it does change, what you get.
They're also going to have to put in there some sort of weird act of God clause.
Like, right.
That can cover something like a pandemic and something like unprecedented circumstances that Disney's trying to hide behind at this point with their release model as far as her contract goes. So yeah.
But also a lot of people wonder, will this just affect things as far as, will everyone start to have to follow the way Netflix pays people? Which is Netflix doesn't have a back end.
They don't have a back end. They just pay everyone
astronomical money up front.
They overpay everybody like up front, whether or not the thing actually works out. They just overpay people. And they've been doing that since their inception. That's their business model, to the point where they've met ridicule for that because they, give showrunners astronomical deals. They gave Adam Sandler like crazy amount of money to make 3 or 4 movies, and then they renewed that. I think Chris Rock got something crazy for 2 stand-up specials.
There's so much money. I will say there was an article today in either THR or The Wrap about this whole situation, and they talked to Jason Blum about it. And it was funny because he had to admit that it was funny because he had just made something I put down as a possible story to talk about. He had just made a crazy deal for this Exorcist trilogy that is like a huge upfront, like $400 million.
It's an upfront because it's for Peacock.
Right.
It's an upfront $400 million it's movies, right?
Yes, it's a trilogy.
3 new movies with Ellen Burstyn reprising her role from the original Exorcist. So it's sort of a legacy sequel. And it's got Leslie Odom Jr. in it from Hamilton and, Person of Interest, of course. So that's it. Basically a great example of the paying up front because you're not going to see any of this money either in box office or physical media sales or anything like that.
But his whole thing was it's the exception to the rule at Blumhouse, which is all about the back end, and which is why he and Ethan Hawke and all these people at Blumhouse.
Ethan Hawke's got that crazy Purge and Sinister money.
Has got so much money because they do these back end deals, and that's the way he prefers it. And one thing they pointed out, and this is a whole other topic that we could talk about forever, but it was a funny thing that this article pointed out, which is, does the upfront deal that Netflix does, is it one of the reasons we get so many mediocre Netflix movies? Because the incentive isn't there to make sure it's as great as possible. It just has to be good enough.
That's a good point, because Eric, as somebody who's had to review many Netflix originals, obviously this doesn't hold true for all. This isn't all. But on the whole, Preparation H feels great. On the whole, they are kind of bullshit, these movies. They are mediocre at best sometimes, and they are completely disposable, and almost the definition of that dirty word we don't like to use, content, which is just like it fills Netflix catalog.
Yes.
It's got this star, it's got this director, and not only that, but they use their, I don't know how they make these Netflix deals too, but they use these stars over and over again, purposely so that the algorithm can recommend you, hey, Anthony Mackie was in this Netflix movie. It sucked, but he's also in this Netflix movie that also sucks. Right. They make sure that the people that they sign on to their movies are in several other movies in like supporting roles, perhaps. I think there was that Jake Gyllenhaal, I can't remember what it was called, but it was a horror movie about the art world where the paintings were killing people. What was that?
I don't remember.
But like
Except
John
Malkovich,
Malkovich,
it was the director of Nightcrawler, and I was sad to hear it was another mediocre Netflix movie.
It was a mediocre Netflix movie, but John Malkovich was a supporting actor in it. Like he was a supporting character in it. Maybe had 4 scenes, but then he did like 2 other Netflix movies that were also supporting scenes.
Right,
and it's just kind of like, those are the things that pop up. It's like, if you like this movie, we'll just call it not Nightcrawler, you will like these other movies because they have Jake Gyllenhaal or John Malkovich in them, but they're also original movies from Netflix.
Right. But it is interesting. I mean, I wonder how much there is to that if you've already been paid a fortune up front, it's not, I'm not saying you're going to phone it in, but maybe you won't work as hard as when you're like, hey, I could really stand to like make like the biggest payday I've ever seen if this is so great and really takes off.
I'm not going to stand behind that because I feel like it's a slippery slope, but I will say it makes sense. Like
right.
It makes sense, but also you're not going to get any notes from Netflix about what you're doing. They're not going to say, please change this, change the ending, do the. And you know what's funny? You'd think with more notes, like obviously the first example of this going awry was the new the Netflix first season of Arrested Development. Yeah. When what was working on Fox on a network, we were so excited about the shackles being off. It's on Netflix. These episodes can be longer. Why wouldn't we want that?
More of something we love.
We found out that a 40-minute Arrested Development episode isn't great.
Right.
And it really does need to be a snug 22 to rein in those jokes and to make it as tight as possible. And when it meanders like that, it suffered. And so the funny thing is, I feel like I would, if you were a director and you had this, the fact that we don't get more crazy batshit off the wall movies for Netflix because there is no feedback. They aren't asking you to change anything.
Right.
Maybe their only directive is make this as milquetoast and medium as possible. Right. We don't want this making any waves. We don't want this to be too weird. We don't want this to be too sad. We want this to just sort of be a lukewarm, medium, cozy feeling that people will forget instantly after they see it and struggle to think about the title a few years later when all they can remember is there was Jake Gyllenhaal and killer paintings. And so maybe that's
algorithm has been served.
I'm just saying, like, if you have a blank check from as a creative person, you're like, now I can make, it could be Spinal Tap Mark II. It could be Saucy Jack. Yeah. And they're not doing that. They're not going crazy with it. Succeed or fail. They're not giving us anything that you would expect from an artiste who is told that they can do whatever they want. They're giving us basically paint by numbers movies that feel like they were made on an assembly line.
Yeah. I mean, there's even something that's funny. I don't know why we circle back to Mank so much, which I think we both liked. But
I enjoyed Mank.
It's not like Mank was like, this is David Fincher with, going full, like doing whatever he wants. Like, oh, it's a well-made biopic.
Well, that movie, but then you also find it's going to house movies that, because we live in an era of blockbusters and those middle ground dramas that for a while went to television, but Netflix will air them too. Like, it doesn't matter. Like the movie, this type of movie that would have been released in 1988 to critical acclaim in theaters and run for 6 months, but who is going to actually theatrically release? I guess just because it's David Fincher, they might. But like, a biopic about Mank. It's just
in black and white.
That does feel more like a passion project, just because it's such a niche inside Hollywood, inside baseball story.
Yeah. I'm just talking more about like getting weird and experimental, though.
But like I said, it didn't hold true for everything because I enjoyed Mank. It was an above average Netflix release.
For Netflix, it was definitely one of the better ones.
Well, let's compliment Netflix at this point for actually being one of the first companies, and more have followed since, to say that you cannot work for them or on their movies if you're not vaccinated.
Yes, that's very true. A funny person that I'm sure we both follow on Twitter, and I don't remember who it was, but someone tweeted recently, is Fear Street actually good or Netflix good? And I knew exactly what she meant.
Yeah, exactly. I would say it's good. I liked it. I liked the trilogy quite a bit. But And again, there are standout movies. I really like Always Be My Maybe, which was a rom-com with
if you release as much as they do, you better have some standout stuff. Yeah.
I think we really started noticing the utter averageness of these movies with Bright. Remember the Will Smith movie?
I didn't watch it, but I know what you're talking.
Yeah, because it was such a huge budgeted movie and it was a big deal. This would have been like 2017, I think, but like it was headed to Netflix. It was one of the first big movies that was bypassing the theaters and going to Netflix.
Because on paper, like a Will Smith giant action sci-fi movie is like, wow, this feels like a big theater movie, but no, it's going to be
David Ayer directed it. Yeah, like it had it was a crazy premise, but like it had the makings of something. It would have bombed in theaters too, because it was just middle road piece of shit. So and like that movie Triple Frontier too, that we brought up a few weeks ago. I can't remember why. I think it's because JC Chandor directed it, and we were talking about that director because he works with Oscar Isaac a lot.
Right.
That was mediocre too. Like they're all these movies. There was something with Sam. Who was the guy who was hot for a minute because he was an Avatar, but he's really super bland?
Sam Worthington.
There was a sci-fi movie. Again, can't remember the name of it. I had to review it with Sam Worthington. Super, super generic and boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found it, Eric. I found it. Velvet Buzzsaw.
I remember that title.
Jake Gyllenhaal killer painting.
Oh yeah. I remember that title. This is where we've gone on our ScarJo lawsuit journey. It's taken us.
Well, something had to liven that up because it was heavy, and I was teetering on a rant that probably would have gotten.
I mean, yeah, I
feel a lot of flack. So yeah.
I'll just say all eyes are going to be on this. They'll probably settle, but it is crazy it got to this point. Yeah, we'll see the aftershocks, the fallout from this.
Mission Impossible Fallout?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about the other big entertainment news this week, which is Mike Richards is the Jeopardy host. I'm kidding. We're not going to talk about that. Instead, we're going to talk about the huge news that the Yellowstone prequel series has found its stars. It's Sam Elliott and Tim McGraw, Eric. I'm
nice.
kidding. We're not going to talk. And Faith Hill, because you can't have Tim McGraw without Faith Hill. No, I mean, that was the big news. We also already brought up the Exorcist spinoff, not spinoff, the Legacy sequel that's on its way.
The only thing I wanted to say there is I think there's room for more Exorcists, but I do think it's crazy to commit to a trilogy. But you know,
we could go on a tangent, you and I, about how much we enjoy Exorcist 3.
We can. Well, at some point we should do the Exorcist movies, I think.
Does that mean we have to do the ones from the aughts too?
Well, there's the two versions of 4. There's the two prequels where
it's
a fascinating story because they reshot the entire freaking movie. But same lead actor.
That's when I was managing a movie theater and I would catch glimpses of them and the empty theaters because they sucked.
I want to watch all the Exorcist movies again because then I will watch the TV show that everyone says is actually pretty damn good.
Oh, you could watch that anyway without.
I know I can, but I want to earn it.
Didn't John Cho join that eventually?
I mean, I don't know if he joined it eventually or was in it early, but he's in it.
I watched the first episode. I don't remember him. Gina Davis was in it.
She was as well. That's true.
Did I forget John Cho?
No, I mean, you forgot that he was in it. I don't think so. I think he reversed.
I feel like he came later.
I think he reversed Sleepy Hollowed it, right? Where he was in Sleepy Hollow early. So yeah.
And then left. Yeah.
Yeah.
John Cho out of nowhere is what we call it.
Right. If there's a Fox genre show, you never know. You might get some Cho. Ooh,
okay, so we learned that Hawkeye is actually being released, the Disney Plus series. Speaking of Disney Plus, which we were for just quite a bit there, and it will come out on November 24th.
Yeah.
So a little later than people may have thought because some expected it to pick up right when What If was closing down. but this seems to be like maybe a month later than that.
The big thing here is that it implies, though they haven't said anything, that Miss Marvel might now be early next year instead, because they'd originally
that was
said
definitely supposed to come after, right? There was
that's the thing. They never said an order. All we knew was Miss Marvel and Hawkeye late 2021.
Okay.
And there was a lot of assumptions which might be first, but they never said for sure. But yeah, so the fact that this will be a few weeks after What If, but not enough time for Miss Marvel to air every single episode and to have like, if they do a making of show, we don't know if they will for What If because it's not live action, but it just feels like unless they're overlapping a little, Miss Marvel might be pushed, but we don't know. But as it is, I'm very curious if Hawkeye is debuting on the 24th. That means it'll end at the very end of December. Will it debut the same? Will Boba Fett episodes be going up the same day? Because we don't know if they'll commit to Wednesday now for everything, or if they'll keep Star Wars on Fridays, or if they'll pick another day. Because as they start to ramp up all this Marvel and Star Wars stuff, they will have shows concurrently. It's going to happen with Hawkeye and Boba Fett. So I just want to know if they pick different days for their big programming. You know
what I think? I think they should pay Scarlett Johansson $50 million first, and then figure all that shit out.
That is definitely what I think. Oh, but also I realized, Matt, that the several week break, the biggest reason I think they're doing it is Eternals, to give Eternals like all the attention in early November.
It still looks so boring. I'm hoping the actual trailer.
They need to deliver more for that. It's a weird time because they're about to, their next two movies have kind of a lot more of sort of an uphill battle with like lack of like, both Shang-Chi and Eternals, like people don't know the characters, which I know they've sold us on characters they don't know before, but they don't also just have like as much of an easy hook or an easy in. They're following that with a bunch of huge mega sequels that'll all probably be huge.
Yeah. I feel bad saying it looks boring because I just feel like it's a lot. Look, if a stupid mega bozo mark like me for the MCU thinks it looks a little tedious. Right. Again, we've only seen a few scenes and we don't know the story at all, Billy, or when it takes place necessarily, except over eons. But want to see the full trailer for that. Eric, this sprang to mind. Gunpowder Milkshake. Speaking of movies like Velvet Buzzsaw, where the title is infinitely more interesting than the movie itself.
And a movie that I haven't seen yet, but I could I guess I can't say I'm too disappointed because it's that Netflix thing. I was like, okay, everything on paper here with all these actresses I love.
It's got awesome action stars. It's got Paul Giamatti. It's got just kick-ass fights, and it is such a trudge, Eric. It is
that's my fear. Yeah, that's my fear. And I'm so bummed because it's like, oh, Karen Gillan gets to be the lead. That's awesome. But then it's a Netflix
the things they say are terrible, and the things they do are boring, and it makes me worry about the next movie that seems like this, which is Kate, starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
I thought the same thing. It's like, yeah, just these generic movies they make. I hope Kate can be one of the good ones.
Maybe Kate breaks the curse because the name of the movie is boring, and therefore the movie will be great.
Yeah, they didn't try to get like the exciting name. That is possible. Damn it, the other thing I wanted to mention, I forgot to put down as like an official news item because it seems silly too, but I did want to mention that Clifford the Big Red Dog has just been pulled from the schedule. And the only reason I don't care about Clifford is just we're once again in scary COVID times, and it's going to be interesting to see like how much that affects the box office again. We had we had a couple movies that did better than even people thought they might, like Quiet Place 2, but now we're in a very shaky place again. And so it's going to be another sort of hurdle for Shang-Chi and Eternals. As everyone's looking at how to release these things. So I am curious what's going to happen. I don't want to see No Time to Die get delayed again. But
I didn't click on the actual article itself because I'm a dweebus, but the headline was something like No Time to Die needs to make $978 million to not lose money. So what's going to happen?
Wasn't it in the trades that they they did talk to streaming they talked to all the big streamers about selling it to them, but they were asking like 600 million just for the movie.
Yeah,
I guess that makes sense if that's how much they need to do a profit. They're like, well, okay, we'll take a small loss and sell it for 600 million.
Oh my goodness.
But even Netflix with their pockets was like, we can't pay that for one movie. Two movies. We'll do it. but
that's a lot of Aston Martins and Amiga watches.
Yes.
So Eric, very quickly, I'm going to get into our good things to enjoy. Why are people review bombing Suicide Squad, Eric? Why is it is it Zack Snyder people? Is it those?
Yeah. I mean,
tools?
first of all, where are they doing this? Because it's not showing up on Rotten Tomatoes yet, because Rotten Tomatoes thankfully did the thing where you have to wait till the movie opens, though it still gets review bombed if they want to review bomb. So I'm not even sure where they're review bombing. I just saw a peripheral mention of it. That James Gunn said it didn't bother him. It's the hardcore of the hardcore Snyder fans. And again,
but they didn't do that to Aquaman.
No, they didn't, because Zack Snyder was still like, even though he was out but not at that point, I think his name was on Aquaman, first of all. But here's the thing. You have like the Snyder fandom is complicated.
Eric, I'm just asking, is it because they hate Harley Quinn because she's a woman?
No.
I need to know, like, because there was a lot of hate towards Birds of Prey.
No, there is minutia here that is so stupid, because it's not all, when I say it's not all the Snyder fans, of course it's not like the sane ones, but it's also not even like the crazy hardcore ones, because some of them, and James Gunn has talked, has been like, pretty vocally, like sort of like, supportive of both Zack Snyder and David Ayer. But I will see, Matt, these little moments that are so silly, like the fact that, because in the Suicide Squad, it's not a spoiler, it's in the trailers and everything, that Bloodsport's backstory is that he shot Superman. And someone asked James Gunn, like, well, which Superman is it? Is it Henry Cavill's Superman? And he said, well, I don't know. It's because I don't know who Warner Brothers is going to have play Superman next. That pissed off the most crazy of the crazy fans, that he didn't commit that it's the Snyder Superman, that was for some of them like
fucking the Kryptonian grump.
Yeah. Like, so when we're talking about those people, it's like, well, how do you can't reason with that. The people that are like, you better like
just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah. So I assume when I hear people are review bombing Suicide Squad, and I don't think it's as bad as some of these other situations have been about review bombing. But yeah, I assume it's going to be like, some of that stuff, some of that bullshit of just like, it's not He-Man bad.
I just think that there's still a resentment toward like the fact that, Harley, Birds of Prey got shit on by a lot of the same people. And
yeah, but it's complicated because if you want to get Margot Robbie was cast in by David Ayer.
I know, but the fact that she's gone forward with a spin-off movie and not Jared Leto's Joker, right? That she's the standout of that movie, that she's the one that people care about and is now in 3 movies.
Yeah, I don't know. I think at this point it's so
it's all bots. I mean, we realize that these aren't real people with real feelings or brains. These are all bots.
Which again, unfortunately, some of it is real people, but I understand the bots is
they are, but they're also bots. Is what
right?
is the stance. Okay. No one really wrote in this week, so we can sort of skip that. Though I do want to apologize to Jaimon, because last week I brought up his message on Patreon, but I didn't read it because it was right up before we were going to talk about Jennifer's body, and he basically wrote about what he thought about Jennifer's body. So I didn't want to basically spoil things before we started talking about it. And then I said I was going to read it in the midst of our discussion, and I never did. So sorry, Jaimon. He really liked it. He said, even though I own the movie, I had never seen it. So we made him bust open that plastic and crack open the DVD.
I can't criticize
unless it was digital. Yeah,
I own the Godfather Blu-ray box set, and I have only seen Godfather 1, and that was before I had that box set.
Eric, I've only seen the best Godfather 3. So
should we do the Godfathers? That seems like we should do.
Maybe we should.
If
only to give me a chance to watch the best one, Godfather 3 again.
We have to decide: do we watch the new cut that just came out last year that Coppola did, or the?
It won't make a difference to me.
No, I know, but it's just like I don't know. It's
well, here's the thing. We watch the original cut because our listeners will have seen the original cut if they've
more
seen
people
anything.
will be familiar with the original.
Right. So maybe we do that. I do remember after Godfather 3, the best Godfather movie, that your mom complained to high heaven about how bad Joe Mantegna was in it, even though she knows him and is friends with him. But she said he was awful. She hated his performance.
I hope Joe Mantegna doesn't hear about this.
Well, he's a Patreon subscriber to this podcast. Okay. So Jaimin liked it. He was expecting a teen romance sex storylines, but the demonic angle was a big surprise. He didn't even know there were demons. I knew that much, Jaimin. I just didn't know anyone who was in the movie.
You didn't know any of the actors except Megan Fox. But
she was on the poster. Yeah.
Demons you expect.
I knew she was a demon. That was it.
All right.
Overall, I really enjoyed the movie. It had some fun actors, Chris Pratt, J.K. Simmons, and lines that made me laugh hard.
That's all we can.
So thanks for picking this movie. I had a great time. Neelift and Shakma. So I've been doing call outs on Twitter too for people. I'll do another one this week and then I'll kind of do a roundup next week. Basically saying, hey, is there anything because of this podcast, whether it was a main event or something we recommended that you watched for the first time? And what was it? And what did you think of it? I got a couple, obviously, Speed 2s and the judgment was very negative, Eric. Okay. So good things to enjoy. Why don't you start? Oh, before we do that, I always forget this. Next week, Candyman 2, Farewell to the Flesh.
Yep.
And we will have next week the Suicide Squad breakout episode, a special episode all about that. But we won't do one, or we won't really combine it with What If's first episode. But on the next actual episode, when we do Candyman 2, we'll bring up the first premiere episode of What If.
Yeah.
We'll chat about it. We won't do a full exploration of it. And then when What If wraps, we'll go back and we'll probably have a breakout episode about that.
Yep. So Suicide Squad, you'll have a week to watch it, whether that be in the theaters or on HBO Max, whichever is most comfortable for you.
I didn't do any of the housekeeping, but at this point, maybe I just do it every other week as far as like our Twitter, our Patreon, our email. I think most people listening know all that jazz, and it's just a waste of time to most. So I'm going to skip it this week. And I'm really eager to hear about Eric's Good Thing to Enjoy.
But if you enjoy this podcast, please rate us and write a review on Apple. My good thing to enjoy, I had to make sure I hadn't talked about last week, even though I knew I did the Woodstock 99 doc as my main thing, but I almost instead talked about what I'm going to talk about right now.
Before I hit record on this podcast, Eric and I were talking, and I told him that this, because he was tweeting about it, was what I expected him to bring up for his Good Thing to Enjoy last week. And he didn't. He threw me. What a swerve. What a left turn out of left field. So yeah, I was not expecting him to go Woodstock 99. That's the ultimate switchback, what you pulled on me.
I know. I got to keep it guessing. But instead, this week I will do what I almost did last week, which is Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Dark Place being one word, which is a 2004 British comedy that there's only 6 episodes of, and which in maybe 2005, certainly within a year of its debut, I remember being told I needed to watch, both by Travis Fickett, friend and former IGN colleague and channel surfing co-host, and John Cry, who is a mutual friend of ours, who we worked with at Newmarket Productions. Both of them telling me, oh my God, you have to see Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. It's one of the funniest shows ever. And then I said, that sounds great. And then I didn't watch it for 16 or 17 years. But it would come every once in a while, someone else would mention it and say, oh my God, you haven't seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, and say how funny it was. And I said, no, one day I'll watch it. But I wouldn't. But then I saw someone tweet about, oh my God, it's on Prime, that Garth Marenghi's Dark Place was the most accessible it had been ever. It had been on DVD and it popped up on, like, I think maybe Adult Swim or a couple places had it here and there. And then it was gone, Sci-Fi Channel. But now it was on Prime and you could just watch it. And I popped it on a Sunday afternoon and watched all 6 episodes, because there's only 6 half-hour episodes. It's a very less than a Snyder cut to watch the entire entire series, and it is hysterical. It is the pretense is sort of a show within a show. That Garth Marenghi is a horror writer who is very full of himself. Who in the 80s, again, this show came out in 2004, but 20 years before in the 80s, he had written and directed and starred in a TV series that he was the hero of, that the network had shelved. And that basically you get the inference because they knew it was terrible, but he said because they weren't ready for it, but now they're going to show it. And so we're getting to see the episodes, and there's interviews that he and some of the other people involved are doing, has interstitials in between about the making of. All this is bullshit. Garth Marenghi doesn't exist. It's an actor and writer, Matthew Holness, playing.
It's like
him.
it's a mockumentary and also a show within a show.
Yes, it's kind of got these two layers going. As we watch this very funny thing that is basically him casting himself as a doctor who also is ready to fight and ready to take out a gun if he needs to, dealing with the supernatural, that this hospital is kind of over a hellmouth sort of situation, and creepy things happen each week. And it's a bunch of very talented British actors playing bad actors, and fully committing to it. It did make me think, with 6 episodes, that's probably appropriate. That I don't know if you could do this forever, but 6 episodes, it was funny as hell. Of them doing that. I think the person that people will know the most at this point in time is Matt Berry, because of What We Do in the Shadows. That's certainly the person who leapt out at me. Although everyone's great, including the creator of the show, Matthew Holness, and his co-creator, I never know how to say his last name, Richard Ayoade. I know who he is from the IT Crowd, even though I've never seen that show. And I know he's voiced a droid on The Mandalorian, but I never really have seen him in anything. But he's in this. He's hysterical. And Alice Lowe is in it. Has the new nurse at the hospital. Anyway, 6 great, really hysterical episodes. An easy, quick watch, and something I will definitely revisit. And now I've kind of been looking up about the fact that the character existed before as a stage character. There was a spin-off kind of sequel series about the producer of the show that Garth Marenghi popped up in a little. All kind of fun stuff. But yeah, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, you can watch it on Prime right now, and well worth your 3 hours to check out.
I second this. It's not my pick. I'm not cheating like that, but I second this. Garth Marenghi's Dark Place is excellent. In fact, Eric, I used a Garth Marenghi Dark Place scene sound drop at the beginning of one of our We Enjoys months ago.
When did you first discover this show, Matt? Since I'm so 17 years behind.
Man, I can't really remember, but this is a rare show from the aughts that I watched and Eric didn't, because
yes,
I had a TV gap because of being a parent and not being able to do watch as many things as I wanted to the point where when I got a job at IGN, I had to catch up a bit because I hadn't been watching Lost and a few other shows. So, but yeah, I saw this somewhere. I don't remember. I think I rented it. I don't know, but I had seen it. So, at some point.
I bet you rented it from a store, Matt.
Yeah, from a store that you could browse through, just you pick it out and say, hey, is this in? And they're like, no, that's out.
You can't watch it right now.
And I'm like, then why is it on the shelf?
Someone else physically has it.
Why is it on the shelf? You have to wait till they bring it back with their hands.
Insanity.
And then you have to wait for them to give it to us. And then we won't get to the return bin for a while. So it's like you're going to have to come up to the desk and ask us, hey, is it in the bin? The mail slot drop-off bin.
That was like the version of is it in the back? Is it in the bin?
In the bin. Garth Marenghi's Dark Place is hilarious. Matthew Holness was actually in a few episodes of The Haunting of Bly Manor. I don't know if you.
Yes, he was. I was looking because I didn't know him and I felt bad. I'm like, he's hysterical. Why don't I know him? And then I was
The Haunting of Bly Manor is not hysterical, but yeah,
no, exactly. Yeah. But
he played the funny guy in that.
Right. Hey, everybody!
Hey, it's me. Yeah, it's Mr. Bly. It's my manor. What's with all the ghosts and spooks around here? All right.
Seems kind of sad around here.
Everyone's so forlorn. Everything's so damp.
Bly Manor and me watching the penultimate episode first by accident. What a boner move.
Wait, which one did you watch by accident?
The second to last one, which is the whole flashback explains
yeah, you
everything.
you watched the prequel episode that was
which I thought was a
later.
bold move of like, let's explain everything up front instead, you know.
Except it ruined all the surprises to come.
Because it had a montage of everyone who died at the end, which is when I thought, oh, wait a second, this doesn't feel right. This feels too much.
You are a pinhead. Okay. So he's apparently in the show that got good reviews on Peacock, We Are Lady Parts.
That's another show I hear is a good show.
Girls Five Ever is very good. I don't know if you'd watch
That's another show I hear is a good show.
You're hearing it again from me.
You're watching the Peacocks. I'm watching the Apples.
Well, I don't have the Apples, but you have the Peacocks, so you're perfectly capable of watching the
True.
Peacocks. You just
That's
choose
true.
not to because you're all about the Apples. My good thing to enjoy this week is I don't know what to do, Eric. Sometimes I really want to just put out a movie. I know we've talked about this before. This movie only has like a less than 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's not necessarily a good movie, but it's one I really like. And it's one whenever it's on, as somebody who is not a cord cutter and actually does channel surf like our old podcast and looks for things to have on in the background. If this is on, I usually leave it on. It's one of the movies I leave on in the background because no matter what point of this movie, I find it entirely watchable, which I know is what we just said is the problem with all the Netflix films, is that at their core, they are only watchable, you know, they're if that. But this movie, I don't know, it just hits a lot of buttons for me. And it is, by all rights, also a generic political action thriller. This is the first film ever made by DreamWorks Pictures. And it's called The Peacemaker. And it's from 1997. It's directed by Mimi Leder, who is a friend
of my mom's.
Did she enjoy her performance in Godfather 3?
She loved it. Yes.
Mimi Leder, who is a directing and supervising producer on ER, who started getting movies. And I think this was her first big movie. Then she also did.
I think it was her first movie, period. Yeah.
Well, Mimi Leder is an interesting example because she is an example of the double standard in Hollywood when it comes to women directors. And it stood that way for a long time, which is that men can fail over. If a guy has one hit or two hits, they can make 13 failures and still have a career. Whereas, as always, if a woman makes one mistake, she is never given an opportunity again. So Mimi Leder directed The Peacemaker, then also the successful Deep Impact. And then she made the mistake of making Pay It Forward, which was sort of maligned and as being sort of sappy bit of junk, which it kind of was. Mm-hmm. And then she was put in movie jail unfairly and not given anything ever until she kind of got a cool resurgence with The Leftovers, one of our favorite shows ever between Eric and myself.
I mean, she directed a lot of TV in that interim. It's just that The Leftovers, she became kind of the in-house main director.
So she did direct. She was like a director for hire for television shows, but she was, after Peter Berg was that role for season 1. Yeah. Mimi Leder came in seasons 2 and 3 of that show, the better seasons, and was the executive producer, supervising director for that show, and really sort of put her stamp on the rest of that series. Anyway, The Peacemaker is literally about George Clooney and Nicole Kidman traversing the globe, chasing a guy who stole a nuclear weapon. Like, that's it. It's what it boils down to. It's a super airport novel. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It super is. And George Clooney, at this point, is at his most Clooneyest you'll ever see him.
Right.
Now, so George Clooney, I think he's super charismatic, but he is a very, very particular. I'm surprised there aren't a ton of George Clooney impersonations out there as far as the way he acts.
Although also he did, I think, very consciously try to get away from some of those isms that he was like,
yes,
his affectations.
So you know how, like, as Al Pacino's career went on, he became a joyful parody of himself. His movies he started performing in his movies in the way that he felt like we all broadly knew him as.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum's become that too as well, where he's excessively Jeff Goldblum to the point where he almost is doing a caricature of himself, but we don't mind because we like that. Mm-hmm. George Clooney I feel started out being a caricature of himself and then got away from that. Like he did the reverse. So if you watch ER and then you watch his early movies, like obviously also Batman and Robin, but One Fine Day and The Peacemaker, from Dusk Till Dawn, he did get away from that a bit.
A little bit, yeah.
But he has a style of like non-eye contact, smiling at certain points when he's speaking, a certain cadence to his delivery. It is all up front and in your face in this movie. I think it's great. It's fine. But just be wary of the Clooniness of it all. And Nicole Kidman is in it, and he's like her military liaison, and she's the nuclear weapons expert. And he's convinced that everything's about money, while she's convinced that whoever took this nuclear weapon, it's personal to them. Turns out she's right, he's wrong. He has to eat crow. But it's a great, and it's, you know, I think, man, the climax of this movie really gets me. I think it's a super well done final like 10 minutes of this movie that worked tremendously on the streets of New York City. Yeah, I like it. I think it's really well made, and it also doesn't fuck around with like trying to make them have a romance in the middle of all this. They're just after the bad guy.
I don't remember a lot of The Peacemaker, but I'm glad you enjoy it. And you're making me, I was looking up Mimi Leader, and I didn't know that I am happy to see that she came back and directed one episode of ER's final season, because she had been, you know, such a big director for them in the early years, which is obviously how she met Clooney and Spielberg, as DreamWorks was launching. That led to her doing Peacemaker. So I like that for the final season, they obviously said, come on back, Mimi, and do one of our final episodes.
Well,
and she did.
Here's the thing. At that point, she was in movie jail. So,
no, I know, but still, she.
No, I know she came back. It's great, but I'm saying like she wasn't getting the blockbusters that she deserved at that point.
Oh yeah, for sure. I watched the final 4 episodes of ER, which was one of those funny things of like having not watched it in so many years and trying to be like, I don't know any of these people. But then the episode with Clooney had a funny scene about how he didn't know anyone there and they didn't know him. So there you go. They had fun with it, Matt. We're all just having fun here.
We're all just having fun. We're trying to. Scarlett Johansson's trying to have fun, but they won't give her $50 million.
That's right.
That's what it costs for her to have fun. Her and Colin Jost. They need that money. All right, let's talk about Candyman. Full spoilers for Candyman, 1992 movie.
I don't think we said that Candyman Farewell to the Flesh is on Prime. And I have to say, I forget who did, someone tweeted at me that they watched Candyman 1 on Peacock, which I missed it was on. I only mentioned Tubi. But yeah, Candyman 1.
Oh, it was on Peacock this whole time?
It is. So if you haven't watched Candyman, and this is where you're going to turn off this episode for now, go watch it on Peacock and then come back and watch it.
Do what Eric won't do, which is watch things on Peacock.
That's right.
So, and then I should mention that Peacemaker is free if you have a DirecTV subscription or a Cinemax add-on subscription of some sort. If not, it's rentable. Okay. That's my huge plug for the movie that I think has 43% on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, I know I just criticized all the Netflix movies in the world for just being assembled, like feel like they're bereft of inspiration, which I can totally see this being, but I think it's really well executed. And
also, by the way, there was just a whole big Twitter thing that I know I participated in about movies you like that have are rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's like some of my favorite comedies are rotten. I named Wet Hot American Summer, but it's like MacGruber, Euro Trip, Vacation.
Well, I blame Todd Gilchrist for Euro Trip.
Oh my gosh,
being rotten because
he gave it a 0 at IGN. But yes, so there's no shame in saying that you are a big fan of something that is a terrible rating on Rotten Tomatoes. What do critics know, Matt?
They know nothing. Ask the idiot who you can hear the voiceover saying, "Jungle Cruise is one heck of a summertime ride." What a doofus said that in the commercial.
Wah, wah.
Matt Fowler, IGN Movies. Okay. So Candyman, based on a novella by Clive Barker, because most of the things he wrote were short stories. He did have some novels. I remember reading Weave World, which I think was in and out of development over the years forever. Nightbreed was a short story. Hellraiser was very famously also a short story.
Hellbound Heart.
And so was Clive Barker's The Forbidden, which is what the Candyman is based on. But that story is set actually in Liverpool. It's still about class warfare. It's still about like poor communities within Liverpool. So that sort of remained intact about Candyman, except the director, who's actually British himself, Bernard Rose, decided he really did want to change this into I think also the redubbing of Hellraiser with American accents made them want to make this not a movie set in England. they made it want to be an American movie. And so Bernard Rose was like, okay, well, let's actually just change it completely and put it in Chicago and make it about the Cabrini Green, which is a very famous public housing development project in Chicago that was known for being super high on crime, super high on gang warfare, but also, and this is all in the movie, they actually kind of say this. Yeah. The fact that it also was right up against super rich condominiums and like well-to-do yuppies. Mm-hmm. So it was like you really saw squalor and luxury right next to each other. So it's really interesting movie that they chose to change the setting and a lot of and change sort of almost the sociological messaging behind it too, because now race was involved in a way that it wasn't in Clive Barker's original story. And my relationship with this movie is when I first saw Candyman when it came out, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was anything special. I think I was looking for something a little more slashery. I think I was looking for something a little more with pizzazz and not like a really sort of thoughtful, almost also romantic movie with a Phantom of the Opera type character involved that's deeply sort of dreamlike and nightmarish in ways that I don't know what at that point made me go into a Clive Barker movie expecting a straight slasher movie after watching, Hellraiser and Nightbreed. But like, so it didn't resonate with me when I first saw it. I didn't dislike it, but it wasn't something that I necessarily put on any of my best of lists. Now I absolutely love Candyman. I saw it a few years later after that. And knowing in my head what I had already seen and now being able to watch it in a different way, then I absolutely loved it.
I think I was always really into it. And because I admired Hellraiser, but I didn't like love Hellraiser. But Candyman, like I just thought like it is very artfully made, but there was something about that really appealed to me. And of course we can talk about the score, which is a very part of the movie.
Well, we can talk about it because it opens the movie.
Yeah.
Aside from the sound of bees buzzing and like, unfortunately we don't get a little bee going, hey, like freeze frame on the bee. And it's like, I bet you're wondering how I got here. It's me, the bee.
Only a year after My Girl, by the way. So this is a big time for bees in movies.
Same bee wrangler.
Oh, was it?
Yes, same bee wrangler.
It makes sense. I mean, completely makes sense.
Get me the My Girl bee guy is what they said. Right. Because this movie, in that movie they had a kid, so obviously they had to be super careful. But like he's just sort of like flailing, and then you see the bees, and they might not even really be there. It might be like some sort of like screen technique at that point. But here, like you got fucking bees in people's mouths and ears and up their butt and like just everywhere. And Virginia Madsen was allergic to bees, so like it was all really dangerous. So you needed that My Girl bee handler on set at all times with all these fucking bees. And I think also with Hellraiser, like one of the things that solely stands out about that movie, even for people who haven't seen it, is just the iconic imagery of that movie, like the Cenobites, and just the box itself.
Yep.
And same thing with Candyman. You've got another really cool cosplay ready looking cool dude, with a crazy backstory, and a movie that's all about urban legend and graffiti and sort of the boogeymen that exist within urban developments, rather than like the countryside manor, like a Bly Manor, have you?
Yeah.
And also coming out of this movie, something I always admire about it is that we don't know anything what was true about anything Candyman ever did. Like we don't know really what's true.
Right.
Like Candyman comes in halfway through the movie because he's pissed off that the main character played by Virginia Madsen has gotten people to start like doubting him and disbelieving in him, and like therefore his power is being weakened and he needs to reassert himself. But all the stories that they tell about Candyman, we don't know what's real or not. We don't know what Candyman is doing.
We don't know what, what did he actually do? Because the story about the couple, the Ted Raimi story,
Ted Raimi playing the bad boy, yeah,
which like he did on Twin Peaks, where he played a bad boy. But yeah, that took place in a totally different city. So I'm like, was that the Candyman, or was that someone else killed someone and and it got blamed on the urban legend of the Candyman?
But even like things in Cabrini Green itself, which is where he's supposed to be housed, he is. I mean, we see it. His ashes were supposedly scattered there, but like did he hook that little kid's dick off? You know what I mean? Like all these things that and then we even saw there was a gang poser out there pretending to be Candyman
using the name. Yeah.
So yeah, people are using the name. We don't for all we know, Candyman never did shit except for the things we saw in this movie. We don't know that. The Philip Glass score is great, and it's so funny to me. I love Philip Glass. He's actually composed one of my. Sometimes it's my favorite. Sometimes I teeter-totter, but I'll just say one of my favorite film scores ever for the Paul Schrader film Mishima. Like I love Philip Glass's score for that. He is a snobbo ultimo. Like he felt like he was misled about this movie. He did not like this movie. He thought it was going to be a lot more gothic and serious and like haughty than it was. And so he did not want to release this as a score forever until like basically fan demand over decades sort of pressured him. And someone he knew actually started a record label just to release this score. But it's very amusing to me because Philip Glass also did a full score to a Dracula musical. So
also, because I didn't know that he had this sort of snobbery about this movie, because the funniest thing to me, spoilers, it's not a spoiler for Candyman 2, but Philip Glass scored the second one, which I was shocked by a couple years ago when I watched it for the first time since the theaters. So he came back and did this. So he didn't do the third one, but he did the second one. So he wasn't above that payday. Is all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, he just didn't want to release it.
Right. Like, I'll do it.
There's an actor in this movie, by the way, named Michael Culkin. And so I'm wondering if there's relation to Macaulay Culkin and the Beez. There's not, I'm sure.
He's the snobby guy with long hair who's like, oh, you're just learning about
he's
Candyman?
British. Oh god, yeah. The men in this movie are so insufferable. Even Candyman himself is a little bit insufferable, but he's still the best of them. So like yeah, this is also sort of a Dracula style love story in a way where it's hinted at that Virginia Madsen's Helen is almost the reincarnation, or is the reincarnation.
I don't think it's hinted at. I mean, to me, I just took it as fact. I mean,
yeah. Well, whatever the truth is, Candyman believes it,
right?
And believes that she is reborn, his lover reborn, the one that he got killed for having a relationship with. And that's very Dracula. One might say he crossed oceans of time to be with her.
Yes.
But
there's a couple of sort of characters that he has some reminiscent stuff of, which is there's the Dracula aspect with the romance. And then he's got a little bit of Freddy Krueger with I need people to talk about me for me to exist and have my power. Like that, there's the thing of like, he is fueled by the fact that he is a boogeyman. Like, he
also has a little
powers him.
He has a little Chucky in him because he's a fucking liar.
Also because, as I tweeted, he is in Chicago, and really when I thought of Chicago, which is where I was born, I would think of Child's Play and Candyman. That's Chicago to me.
That's the Chicago way. That's what that Sean Ryan series was about.
You got your Chuckies, you got your Candyman.
That's the Chicago way.
Right.
And you got your AEW. You got your Chuckies, you got your All Outs.
And you got Ferris Bueller singing on a float.
You got John Hughes movies.
Right? That is Chicago in a nutshell. And you got like, Adventures of Babysitting.
It's like the Chicago flag. It's just like Chucky and fucking John Hughes. It's
beautiful.
and like Al Capone.
Candyman, Beez.
Al Capone, Chucky, and John Hughes, the Holy Trinity. Okay. So Virginia Madsen plays a grad student named Helen. Virginia Madsen was not originally cast in this role. There have been stories over the years that Sandra Bullock was one of the people originally considered. The original Helen, though, was the director's wife, the unfortunately named Alexandra Pig.
Yes.
So this director got some notoriety with a spooky movie, which I have not seen, called, what was it, Paper House? Which is one of the reasons why Clive Barker thought he'd be good for this movie. Is some ghost story. Anyway, I haven't seen it, but Clive Barker liked it. And I think Pig got pregnant. I think that's why she dropped out of the movie. And then Virginia Madsen was into the movie. And it's also notable that Virginia Madsen was a little bit older than they had in mind for Helen, and also kind of atypical for a horror movie heroine at the time. So there's just a lot of nice incongruous elements to this movie that make it really stand out and feel unique and special, that also don't distract and help the movie be better. Virginia
Madsen almost played Bernie, Helen's best friend.
Yes, so she was already on the docket.
Right. But who ended up being played by a early 90s crush of mine. I know I've mentioned this before, Cassie Lemons, who was in and very close together, was in Silence of the Lambs, Candyman, and Hard Target. But very sign of the times.
That's right. She wasn't Hard Target.
She had to play a friend or a cop. And in 2 out of the 3, she dies because, heaven forbid that the Black actress play the lead character. But I thought she was adorable. And then she became a successful director with Eve's Bayou and other projects since.
Yes. Born on Eve's Bayou, where she would give a role to a young Journey Smollett.
Yes, which I watched that movie for the first time last year.
Did you like it?
I liked it.
I haven't seen it.
And Journey Smollett's so adorable. She's such a little.
Well, she's the Eve, right?
It's her bayou. We're just living in
Welcome to Eve. This is my bayou. Okay. So Helen and Bernie, played by Cassie Lemons, are grad students, I believe. Anyway, they're studying
grad students.
Urban legend.
Because Michael Culkin says the 2 most beautiful grad students to them.
I mean, he's right.
They're very attractive women, but
the only hurdle for me in this entire movie really is to get over like majoring in urban legends. So, and that Xander Berkeley has like this lecture hall where he's going to talk about urban legends, and he's paid enough that he can have one of those condos next to Cabrini Green.
I'm not clear what his class is, because she's mad at him because he did the urban legends lecture. So his course is not only urban legends, but he does a lecture, and she's mad that he did it early on in the semester. So I'm not quite sure what his course is.
Well, his field is being an asshole.
It's called Urban Legends and Stuff.
It's called Urban Legends. She's like, you said you would start with stuff and not urban legends.
Right. And Xander Berkeley, great character actor, often cast as the asshole. And this is one of his most iconic assholes.
Yes. Trevor, too. The unfortunately named Trevor just sounds like an asshole to begin with. Like, oh, this is Professor Trevor. And you're like, ugh. Like, it just, the uncanny valley of that is just makes you reel in disgust. So they are studying, they're interviewing people, and they are hearing about Candyman. And I know that also one of the interesting things of a specific murder that happened in Chicago to someone named Ruthie Mae McCoy was also sort of a rumored influence for this movie, because it had to do with a guy coming into her apartment through the wall. And in a lot of these old housing projects and buildings in general, not even projects, but like, because you'll find this in New York as well. Bathroom mirrors, if you pull them off, there's a walkway and the walls behind there. And
there was a viral video just a few months ago.
There was on TikTok of a woman discovering in her New York apartment an entire other apartment connected to her bathroom mirror, and it was empty and vacant and like dilapidated, and it wasn't in use. But the point is,
she could walk down to the street, which still made it super.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like someone from the street could come up into that apartment, go through her bathroom mirror, which is not dissimilar to what happened to Ruthie Mae McCoy. I never had to worry about that in New York because my bathroom mirror was up against another room in the apartment. Like it wasn't leading into outside wall of any kind. But yeah, sometimes in these buildings too, there were space enough between the walls to hide and move about the building up and down. You know, it's as creepy as that sounds too. So they decided to go. I'm trying to remember. They decide to go to Cabrini Greens because who tells them to go there? Oh, she talks to the nurse, right?
Yeah.
And they themselves are nervous about going there. And there's jokes about how they kind of look like cops. And they go around kind of interviewing, taking pictures of a lot of the graffiti and the art on the walls, noticing sort of the Candyman of it all. And then they discover basically the catacomb behind the bathroom mirror. And Helen goes through. It's a very white person thing to do. It's just like, I'm going to go in here. I'm also going to spelunk. I'm going to do things that are inherently dangerous. And so she's going to go there. And then she kind of finds what we would discover later in the movie to be
it's a great visual. There's a lot of great visuals, but her coming
looks
through the
great.
mouth,
this movie looks great. And she discovers what we find is like kind of Candyman's lair in a way.
Yeah.
Because later on, that's where like the baby is and like his whole like little hideout, his little hidey hole. And then we also meet a neighbor played by a different Vanessa Williams. Melrose Place's Vanessa Williams.
Yeah.
Who's there to give a little more also detail about Cabrini Green and the fact like even like so the thing about the Ruthie Mae McCoy murder is that people did call the police when she was screaming. And it took several calls to get the cops to actually go to that apartment and open her door to discover her dead. So when Vanessa Williams is like her character, I can't remember her character's name, but she's like calling 911.
Is it Anne Marie? Yeah, Anne Marie.
Anne Marie. So like, but the fact is I think her last name was McCoy. So I think like the fact that she's named after this woman who was murdered in real life is sort of
but also the nurse they combine it because the nurse talks about a Ruthie Joy, I believe. And this was all you telling me this was based on a true thing. I didn't know, but so they combined they kind of
so they took the name. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. But she's talking about how like if you call 911, no one even comes to that place. So this whole movie, so the beginning of the movie is like Helen is really interested in Candyman. Trevor's an obvious asshole. His colleagues are assholes, and they have to sit through dinners with these assholes. And she's driven more and more because not just out of curiosity for what's going on at Cabrini Green or the stories they have to tell, but also she wants to show up these absolute pigs who sort of condescend to her at dinner. And then she gets in over her head. Sort of,
she learns the story because with Philip is the asshole who knows the story, the backstory of Candyman, and tells her about how he was, had this affair and that what happened to him and how he got killed.
So, but also that his dad was actually rich. He came from a wealthy family because his dad made some mechanism that helped with the manufacturing of shoes. He also painted portraits. It's interesting to know because one of the first times we see Candyman as a full-figured person, his shoes are great.
Well, and he's such a regal figure. Like the coat. It's that shot of him standing across the parking lot is an awesome shot, and a great entrance for a character that was meant to be and has become an iconic, horror character. Because he's well spoken, he's well dressed. He was a man about town. He was a wealthy landowner,
hired him to paint a picture of his daughter's.
Yes, I
virginal
didn't
beauty.
remember that he came from money. I just know he was a
Yeah,
painter.
he did come from money. And then when he was painting this daughter, they started having an affair, and then the mob was sicked on Candyman. And I can't remember if they sawed his hand off while he was being stung to death or before, but anyway, they sawed his hand off. Then he was also given to bees to be stung.
Smeared honeycomb on his naked body and stung to death.
And then his ashes were like they burned him, and his ashes scattered on where the site of Cabrini Green is now. Therefore, his spirit that resides there forever. That first scene, okay, so it all culminates. The first half of the movie really culminates with Helen getting the shit kicked out of her.
Yeah.
Going into one of the grossest bathrooms in movie history. And I do include also the bathroom in No Holds Barred that features the wall length trough for peeing, but is overflowing with urine.
Yes. I also include the one in Trainspotting, which, the most
the toilet that he dives into. Yeah.
But here,
but literally, there's dookie graffiti. Like
so
somebody
much
is
shit.
That's
so much shit to write. The sweets for the sweet. I was like, did one person just keep shitting and come
I don't know.
back?
That felt like a group effort. That felt like
that would have to be. Let's all go here and let's team up.
But the important thing is they all have to shit at the same time so that they could write it out. I don't know. Maybe it was one person over several days.
It could be one letter. Yeah, I could a letter a day.
I'm working on my shit message.
Yeah, it's absolutely vile, very effective, and the arrow is great. Like the arrow is
the poop arrow. Yeah,
the poop arrow to where something horrific we are told happened is very effective.
The fact that the bees in the toilet is the least offensive thing about that.
No, the bees are frankly seem like the cleanest element that's happening.
I'm like, oh, thank God it's only bees.
Right.
I was expecting so much worse.
So many worse things. Yes.
And then honestly, worse things could have happened to Helen, but she got the shit kicked out of her by faux Candyman, by the candy clone. And then
and we should mention Jake, the kid who brings her there. That kid's really good. Dewan Guy, I looked him up. He was on Boston Public a few years later, but very good performance. Has this kid who I liked when he says, "You're crazy walking in here alone," and she was.
He's not wrong.
No.
So they basically, because they actually arrest somebody, this brings out the ire of the Candyman, who's like, oh shit.
And I remember, by the way, I do remember my opening night audience, big laughs at the I heard you looking for a Candyman, bitch. Well, you found him. That they all have to say that at the lineup.
Oh, like when they're like looking for the suspect. Yeah. And this is when Candyman decides he's going to reveal himself to Helen in the parking garage, a scene for which Virginia Madsen was actually hypnotized for. So if you watch that scene, she is tranced the fuck out. Like she is gone. Like that's they did that for real on set so that like it would heighten the power, the feeling of power that Candyman has over someone he is targeting,
Two things I want to say about Virginia Madsen is, I mean, she's great, but also I love the in this movie, which is very visual, as you mentioned, they give her a lot of this sort of noir lighting where it's like she's got like she's lit around her eyes, but she's darker on her face a lot. Also, I was so surprised several years after, this would be the same year Reservoir Dogs opened, but I didn't know she and Michael Madsen were brother and sister for a long time. And it surprised me so much because yes, they have the same last name, but they're very different. They don't exude the same vibes to me. So that was a big
Eric,
surprise.
do you remember my New York Comic Con
I remember.
panel? Do you remember my New York Comic Con panel?
Oh, I remember. I remember telling you,
when I moderated Explosion Jones with Michael Madsen.
I was worried for Matt.
Eric, you wouldn't stop talking.
I know. Michael Madsen, great character actor, great presence on screen, but I'd seen him on other panels and I knew things could go sideways with Michael Madsen on a panel.
Everything was fine until he decided to, like, I was trying to like end, like put a nail in the whole thing and end it. And that's when he decided he wanted to tell everybody
List
in the
every
crowd,
actor ever.
every actor that he ever admired, living or dead, and that how they were real actors, and these kind of stars don't exist anymore. He's like, Steve McQueen, and he was really bearing the lead here. He was super out of it and super slow in speaking all of this. So it was just
and when he began this run at the end, it began with like Dennis Hopper, one or two people that had recently-ish died that he would have thought of as peers, and that it would make sense for him to kind of want to give a shout out to. It's just that he then didn't stop at one or two actors. He kept it was like he was never
just decided he was going to read aloud from IMDb.
Right. Other good actors. And he would just keep, some of them weren't dead. Some of them were long dead.
He was, it was being kept afloat and kept glued together by Chemical X or Daddy's Secret Medicine of some sort that was being procured for him by certain people backstage. But anyway,
I imagine Virginia's like, oh, crazy brother Michael. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she's just like him.
Yeah, maybe she's exactly like him, or maybe she's like, hey, has Michael told you all the actors he admires? Get him to tell you all the people,
because I have another list.
Get him to tell you every actor who ever existed. It's a gas. You'll love it. Okay. So,
that was amazing to be the audience for that.
Okay, so yeah, even more amazing to be standing at a podium right next to him, wondering what was going to happen. So the movie takes a really hard turn at this point. Once he meets her in the garage and trances her out and makes her blackout, the second half of the movie is completely different. Like everything's a huge lead up. Everything's snooping around and suspenseful and just learning little bibs and bobs about Candyman and what he did or may have done. Everything's hearsay, but then he's there and she wakes up and things are actually real in front of Helen. Whereas she's covered in blood. She's killed Anne-Marie, as you said's dog, and Anne-Marie's baby is gone.
Yeah.
And so Helen,
there's a lot of blood. So the
rest of this movie is literally Helen being fucked and framed by Candyman for his murders. Yeah. And like this is all we know of Candyman. We just met him. So this feels like maybe this is what he does. Like, is this his MO? Does he just ruin somebody's life? I don't know. I mean, we understand he's also targeting Helen because she is his love reborn and he has a plan to get her where we find out at the end that he kind of skeleton keys her into a situation where she needs to die by fire with him and therefore they could be together eternally. But to do so, he lies about the fact that he's going to spare this baby's life, which he did not intend to do. Again, he's a lying liar who lies. But so from there, the only thing, so she's immediately arrested. Trevor has to come and get her from jail.
She's made to do a very harrowing strip search. Virginia Madsen's excellent in this scene as she's just covered in blood, naked, just doesn't know, she's so like, just, doesn't even know what's going on.
Well, again, and it's interesting genre-wise, just having nudity in a horror film, not for titillation.
But not in a way that completely undercuts it in any way being sexual. And the cop making her strip search is Rusty Schwimmer, who we previously talked about, Matt, when we did Jason Goes to Hell, because she ran the diner in Crystal Lake and sold Voorhees burgers and called what's his face, Leslie Jordan, Pookie. This was a very, very different performance.
She was in Perfect Storm too.
Mm-hmm. She's in a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Would Michael Madsen like to read all those things to me right now?
He would. He's going to do a different movie every week, and he's going to read every single actor who was in it.
Okay. So already she's got reporters mobbing her. She's being sought after for the murder of this baby. The only thing that's keeping her not, from being behind bars is that they haven't found the baby. There's no body.
Right.
She has no idea what's going on. And then we cut back. Now we're in Candyman's hidey hole. We, just to assuage our fears and like what we might be panicking about, we do see the baby is alive. It's alive somewhere in Cabrini Greens within those secret, undiscovered areas of the project. and Candyman's taking good care of him. Anyway, then let's see what's happening here. Then things just start getting super, super intense, and everything sort of culminates in Bernie getting murdered. So it becomes something that Candyman wants her to go with him and be immortal. Like, he has a plan, he has a plot, and she's not.
He wants her to be bride of Candyman.
Yeah. So and because she doesn't immediately fall in line with this, he frames her for Bernadette's murder. It's basically kind of like, you're going to have no one in this world that you're going to want to die and be with me. Like, I'm going to leave you with nothing. So why would you even want to live? Just come and be with me. So, Bernie gets murdered, but then that's very surprising. But the most surprising one and the biggest jolt of the movie is when her doctor is murdered right in front of her. And it's also all of this. Every time Candyman's killing someone, it's giving us more insight into how Candyman operates as a supernatural entity. Because Candyman is now, we know, somebody who is not afraid at all to murder a doctor in front of Helen while in a building full of people, in like a hospital, a mental hospital. Like, this is not anything he cares about. He can vanish on will. And
him be kind of flying out backwards through the window is a great moment. A little bit goofy, but it's also just such a weird, trippy thing for him to do.
But like him floating over her while she's strapped to that gurney too is a little goofy as well.
Yep.
Like there's little kind of silly elements here, but it still all works.
Another one's the big mixture, because it's a good jump scare. I remember in the theater, everyone screamed their heads off. Is when his hand smashes through the medicine cabinet, but it's so oversized. It's like this massive,
it's like a whole
comically
hand.
huge. Yeah.
An interesting element of this movie too is that there's some time jumps where I think after she's, beaten, we skip over a few weeks, before they arrest somebody. And like, it takes a little while for everyone in Cabrini Green to start actually doubting Candyman before he shows up. And then again, we get a little bit of a jump, but more for dramatic effect when Helen learns that she has been basically drugged and doped up in this hospital for a month.
Right.
So we've skipped a bit later, and her life is just coming unraveled. And so now this doctor is killed in front of her. And much like Jennifer's body last week, there is no way she can live her life now, not being in prison for the rest of her life. You know what I mean? Right. Like, nobody's going to buy, she didn't kill Bernie. No one's going to buy that she didn't literally murder this doctor. She's not in prison, I should say, but in a mental facility.
Yeah, in case Candyman, he frees her from her restraint. So even if she didn't run, she would have been sitting there, free and with someone who just got murdered.
And then she goes to, after, crawling out on a ledge and escaping this hospital, she goes back home to find out.
Fucking Trevor.
We haven't brought this up, but Trevor, obviously, from the first moment we see Trevor and Stacy, we know that he's having an affair with one of his students. It's just that
Stacy, who's not a fan of wearing too much shirts, in the scene when Helen first comes there, she's wearing a shirt and a bra, but the shirt's unbuttoned with the bra. Not like later where she's wearing a shirt with no bra. But
she's just a sexy college student who wants to hear legends about urban legends.
Yes, she's very into Trevor and his urban legends.
Which is kind of, the comic twist at the end of this movie. Because the last part of this movie is played for, I think, mild, good-intentioned laughs where you where
her holding the knife is a funny, intentionally so, I believe, a funny moment of like, look how she's been trapped,
But also just like Stacy herself, like I was just having a fun affair with my professor, and now I'm like this.
Right. He's sad about his dead wife.
Yeah. Now he's like, now I'm like actually have to cook dinner for him while he's depressed in the bathroom, and like he's so upset about
and regretful.
Like I don't know how she got roped into like moving in with this dude with this type of like heat all around him. You know what I mean? I'm just saying I'm not saying he's wanted for murder, but like that kind of drama, like you don't cohabitate.
There's a lot going on in his
you
life.
don't cohabitate. So then we get the big
It's exciting, Matt.
The big B scene. You know, she goes to Candyman, and
which is a very weird. I will say this is the one time it's a cool moment, but it is weird to me that he's just sleeping because he can be summoned, right? You say his name 5 times. He's a supernatural being. He is over 100 years old. And so it doesn't seem like he would sleep. Like it seems he would be in some
I
ethereal
really wish
plane.
he had like a nightgown and a sleep cap, and he was going like honk shoo, and he would blow the little ball of the cap up in the air whenever he exhaled and snored.
Even though he had the baby there, I didn't feel like he would. Until that moment, I didn't assume he was staying with the baby 24/7. But I guess he was. He was just sleeping.
He was like hanging out. Well, I'll say this,
which makes it imagine when someone says his name 5 times, is he like, oh damn it, like, all right.
Yeah, that's like his snooze alarm finally waking. I think that as somebody who's had babies, it's super tiring, and I don't blame him. He's just exhausted from that baby.
Yeah, usually he would return to his hell dimension,
but that's the thing. It's like you have to nap when the baby naps. You know what I mean? Like, this is my chance. So that's he's like, oh, finally this little brat went down. Time for a Candyman to catch some Z's, some beauty sleep. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like, hey, wake up. She should have clapped right next to his ear.
We should also mention there's because before we get the bees here, we get the moment where he starts to pull her dress up with his hook. The hook is an obvious phallic imagery, but also, I mean, the thing about Clive Barker,
who Peyronie's disease,
didn't make this movie, but it's based on a story of his. But if you read Clive Barker, he is way into the mixture of sexual imagery with his horror. I mean, that's a big thing. So Candyman getting sexual with a bloody hook feels very Clive Barker.
He's into exactly what Pinhead says, pleasure and pain, like the mixture of sex with gore, like together, and within that comes
visceral, his
own very specific Clive Barker brand of body horror that I only also liken maybe to someone like David Cronenberg, but Clive Barker uses it in a way more gothic romance aesthetic than Cronenberg ever does. Okay, so the B scene, super impressive. I've read over the years a couple times about how Tony Todd put in his contract that he was to get $1,000 for every bee sting. And he kind of made out like a bandit. I think he used some of that money that he got from getting stung. I forget how many times. It was close to 10, maybe more than 10. Anyway, he took everyone, the whole cast and crew, out to dinner with like that money.
We should mention Tony Todd, by the way, because this obviously made him kind of a horror icon and made him a star. That he'd been a working actor. He'd starred in the Night of the Living Dead remake, which is what I knew him from.
That's the first thing I saw him in. Was
I'm looking at his credits. He was in Platoon, but I couldn't place him in Platoon.
I didn't see Platoon until later.
And then, funnily enough, he's in Colors as a Vietnam vet, same character. And he's in Lean On
Me. Did he make it out of Platoon alive?
Right. But Night of the Living Dead, he's the lead, and then he's the lead in this, and of course, he's the title character in this. This made him a horror icon. First of all, it made him Candyman, and he did multiple sequels. He was in The Crow a couple years later, and he's done like a million other horror movies and the Final Destination movies. And he's just one of those guys like Robert Englund, like Kane Hodder, who's just kind of horror royalty. But he's great in this. And his speaking voice, which is so iconic and is used well. Masters of the Universe, we just heard him as a Scareglow. But he is, he's got this great voice. And the fact that he's narrating a lot of this movie and just giving it this sort of elegant feel to it.
He's a big dude too. So he's like, I don't know if he's Jason size, but he's way bigger than like Robert Englund. He's just a very imposing figure, as Candyman. If he's not imposing enough, just with that hook and the bees, the swarm like body made of bees, he's also giant, super tall. The bee scene using the bee wrangler from My Girl is it's super like, it's meant to elicit like a kind of like creep us the fuck out, just like make us sort of recoil a bit, like especially bees in the mouth. These are real bees. We know that they're not CGI back then, and And we could tell that that's his real face and not like a model of his face or something like that. So it was all done like that. Again, Virginia Madsen was also allergic, so they had to be super careful with her. And it's a scene it stands out because it's cool, but also like, what happened there? We don't know. Like, it just made her pass out again, really.
Right.
But that's when it's basically the baby's in the bonfire.
Well, but there's two reveals here, which is first it was always you, Helen, and that she's the reincarnation of his love, and then the baby in the bonfire. That, you know, her final mission, as it were.
That she decides to go in and save, but they only see, or is it Jake that only sees? Someone only sees the hook.
He sees the hook, and he says he's here.
It's like Candyman's in this pile of furniture, so the entire community comes together to burn Candyman, which is honestly what Candyman would want, because that means they super believe in Candyman right in that moment.
Right. Also, Philip Glass, this is a great, like, epic, the score as she's climbing up that bonfire. I mean, it's not lit yet, but as she's climbing up all that junk to find the baby, the score is just, very powerful, very sort of epic journey moment there.
It's a great climax. It's a great climax to a movie. And I think also an interesting element of this movie that when I first saw it, I wasn't prepared for, was the final girl actually, dying. Like, but she does it in a very sacrificial way. Obviously, she saves the baby, which is, Candyman only winds up ruining her and killing her, but the actual super innocent, the baby, does not become collateral damage because she goes in and she saves him at risk, taking her own life in the process because she burns to death or dies from her burns. But more importantly, so I don't think I know, because she and Candyman have a little fight in there. Like, it feels like she thwarts Candyman's plan, because his plan is they need to die together.
He screams at her that because she leaves his side.
Right.
I guess we're meant to believe that, like, she had to kind of stay with him for this to work.
So so his plan went to shit, but it didn't stop her from becoming Helen in the mirror. Right.
Right.
So that sad Trevor can say her name and get killed by her. So whatever magic is going on as far as
framing braless Stacy holding the knife.
Yes. So good luck, Stacy. But yeah, I super, super love and dig this movie. And I'm sad to hear that the sequels were kind of shit, but who knows? I guess I'll judge for myself, but I do know that I think they get even more into his backstory, correct? Like, we get flashbacks.
Yes, they do. A couple things I'll say about this movie. Yeah, I love it. Great movie. Great sort of myth making movie as far as, like, creating, successfully creating this sort of iconic character. It's interesting that Bernard Rose did Immortal Beloved, the Gary Oldman movie, a couple years after this, and then he did I never know if I say this right, Anna Karenina. Am I saying that right?
You said it correctly. Yes.
Okay, but then he's done other things, but those like the 90s was kind of his heyday. But I noticed, Matt, that he directed a Frankenstein movie in 2015 that has 100% Rotten Tomatoes, but only 10 reviews. Tony Todd is in this movie, but we have to see this movie, Matt, because 100% from 10 reviews, but a 36% audience score. So super polarizing. It sounds like you'd be all over it.
Well, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like an A24 movie.
Right, exactly.
Because that's usually how it goes with A20. I think that's literally what Green Knight is going through right now. Is like,
right. Yeah,
it's like 36% audience. And
I know people put, like, I saw that, it's like, Green Knight got a C+ cinema score, which is great for A24. Like, it's, that's great. But yeah, Candyman is awesome. And it's, it was ahead of its time. It's like, on one hand, it's like, it stands out, of course, like, it's the first, like, black iconic slasher villain, kind of the only one still. And the fact that the movie was really, it didn't shy away from being about the Cabrini Green of it all. And it's interesting because Helen even has that line about the fact that 2 people were killed and the police did nothing, but a white woman got attacked, and they're all over this. Now, of course,
race is at the forefront of this.
Race is completely at the forefront of this. So very ahead of its time. Now, of course, the 2021 hindsight, and also the fact that the sequels would keep repeating, small spoiler, but the sequels also star white women, is that it's like it has to still be through the perspective of the white woman, our eyes into this, which is why the new one is like finally kind of like a black filmmaker with a black protagonist that's also set in this world, even though I think, everyone making that movie is like, we love Candyman. It's just, maybe it's time for us to switch the perspective on it, because in 1992, it was certainly doing a lot more than other movies, horror movies especially, would have been doing with this material.
Right. Can't wait for the new one. Again, that's kind of the point of this little marathon, everyone, where we're sort of going through these 3 movies leading up to the new Candyman movie, which is, I will say, Candyman.
It's funny that when one of the last press things I did pre-pandemic was an event at Universal Studios where they showed us the trailer to Candyman the day before it was going to debut. And we talked to Jordan Peele very briefly, but Nia DaCosta mostly, because she's the director of this film, of the new film. And it was funny because I asked about the Philip Glass score. And he's not the composer on the new movie, but I was like, are you going to use his theme? And she was being kind of coy about it, but now it's been in all the, it wasn't in that first trailer, but it's been in a bunch of the recent trailers. So yes, I mean, the answer was yes.
It's kind of like hearing Chucky's theme in the new Chucky TV series.
That's right.
This Frankenstein movie from 2015 that Bernard Rose did, it also has Maya Erskine in it. Have you seen Pen 15 at all?
No, I've not.
Oh my God, Pen 15. That's another one you need to watch. That's on the Hulu though, not on the Peacock, but Pen 15 is so great.
And then one thing, I know I said this on this podcast, but it was weeks ago and we weren't talking about Candyman. Just the fact that Candyman is another funny example where the most iconic great theme that's being used in the new one is technically Helen's theme. That is the name of the track. It's another one of those situations where
it's like Hedwig's theme. Yes,
exactly. Hedwig's theme, or what's the Zepp?
Hello Zepp.
Hello Zepp, where a theme written for a specific character is just the greatest theme in the movie, so it becomes adopted by the series in general.
Yeah, the Chucky theme is actually named after Andy's mom's friend.
But I think Helen's theme
falls out the window.
Yeah, Helen's theme, it could be from Candyman's perspective, since he loves Helen. So when he thinks about Helen,
it didn't say he was a composer or a pianist, right? But we could imagine he was a painter. Oh, yeah. So why couldn't he? He was in the arts. So
he can do it all.
Tickle the ivories. Okay, that was our Candy Chat. So thank you for joining us on that and going through the Candyman journey with us. Next week we'll return with Candyman 2. Farewell to the Flesh. Right now, I'm about ready to say farewell to this podcast because everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma.